Miami!
To mission control, we have liftoff.
Phinhub! Phinhub! We talking Dolphins City! Phinhub, Phinhub! Yeah! It's that Dolphins show! Phinhub!
Welcome to the Phinhub Show, the one NFL podcast you can't leave off your roster. Now here's your hosts, Joe and Kevin Tejedo.
All right, welcome in, guys.
Welcome.
Season 1, Episode 1 of the Phinhub Show. I am so excited to be here. We finally made it happen. It's been a long time coming. And yeah,
Finally.
this feels good. Feels right.
Bro, I feel like it's been an eternity, but we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, we
do
got
it.
a lot of really nice things coming for you guys. We're going to have some merch coming out soon, giveaways every single month. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter because we're also on there. And yeah, so super excited to start this journey with you guys.
Yeah, man. And well, this is the guy behind all the edits, all the cool videos you guys have been seeing. You know, last year, especially when you ramped it up, we're going to try to be a lot more consistent for you guys, bring out more so of this content, you know, our faces in here with our takes, our opinions on the Dolphins. And we want to mix it up. Basically have you guys on the show as well. So we're gonna figure out a way of doing that. Maybe asking you guys some questions. You guys can come on, ask us questions. And yeah, man, we're just gonna strive every day to be one of the better channels for you guys and bring you nice, top-notch content. So
Yeah, definitely.
happy.
And actually, I want to give a special thanks to our boy Reason at Finside the NFL.
It's our guy.
Great
That
friend
guy.
of ours, you know, really looked up to him and his channel, all the knowledge that he gives.
Yeah.
Great guy, great friend. He's like a brother to us now, so want to give a special shout out to him. Go check out his channel if you haven't, Finside the NFL, which I don't know where you've been if you haven't checked out Finside the NFL because he's great and
Extremely knowledgeable, man.
He's a
He knows-
must-have
yeah.
in any Dolphins fans, you know, podcast
Yeah.
book. So go check him out if you haven't already. That's Finside the NFL with Jordan, with Reason.
Yeah, best takes. Like I said, whenever there's breaking news, it doesn't matter what time of the day. He's coming out with a in-depth live telling you about the player, all that. You know, if you want someone that has really good takes with just an insane amount of knowledge on the Dolphins, you have to go there. So
And no
check him out,
bias.
please.
He's a real dude. He always keeps it real on his channel.
Yeah.
The voice of reason. So really appreciate him being our mentor and always keeping
Thank
it
you,
real
brother.
with us. We love you, brother. Thanks for everything. Also, want to mention to you guys, we're going to be doing these giveaways. So this is how you enter. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, following us on Instagram and Twitter, and every single comment will be one entry into our giveaway. So make sure to leave your comments. We're going to be tallying them up, and we'll have the winner being brought up on the 21st of July. So make sure to leave your comments. We're going to be tallying them up, and we hope that you are the winner.
Yeah. And those comments, you can stack them up. You can do as many as you want.
Yeah, so go crazy with them.
So go crazy, you guys.
All right.
Also, creativity is going to give you some bonus points. So maybe get creative with the comments as well.
Yeah, we'd love to hear some questions from you guys and maybe some feedback, some honest feedback. You know, this is our first show, Season 1, Episode 1 of the Phinhub Show. So definitely want to get some good feedback from you guys and see what's working, see what isn't. Maybe we can tweak it here and there and make the best show possible. So
Yeah, man.
let us know. Let us know for sure.
Well, let's get into this right now,
Let's get
Joe.
into some Dolphins talk.
So
Enough of
obviously
that.
we have one of the better wide receiver duels in the NFL.
I would say so.
So instead of asking you where we rank, how about we do a top 5 and you
Okay.
tell me your top 5 wide receiver duels right now as of today.
All right, cool. There's been a lot of movement in the NFL recently, especially at the receiver position. So this is going to be an interesting list.
Yeah.
All right, so at 5, I'm going to go with a new duo in Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins. The Texans traded for Stephon Diggs to pair him up with C.J. Stroud alongside Nico Collins, who had an excellent year with the rookie quarterback, and I expect Stephon to fit right in. I just hope for the Texans' sake Nico isn't taking too many looks away from Stephon Diggs, because we know where that goes. And Bills fans know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So at 4, I have the Buccaneers duo, who I think isn't getting enough attention. You got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who played with the Hulu man himself, Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans has yet to have a season below 1,000 yards, and I don't expect that to change now. Godwin has 3 consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards, and I expect him to keep that trend going entering the prime of his career. At 3, I have the Eagles duo of A.J. Brown and the Slim Reaper Devonta Smith. A.J. Brown now has 2 consecutive seasons with 1,400 yards, making for what I believe to be the 3rd best receiver in the entire NFL, behind Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. And of course, you have the electric Devonta Smith, who many deem to be too small for the NFL, but way to show him, Smitty. Look for him to keep kicking ass. At 2, I have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. I love this wide receiver room, and they're even deeper when you consider they've added rookie Rome Odunze. But Keenan Allen and DJ Moore both lit it up last season, and between the two averaged 102 receptions and over 1,300 yards. Caleb Williams has a lot of talent surrounding him to start his career, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this duo can do for him in Chicago. And of course, at 1, pretty sure everyone could guess what this was going to be, I have the speedy South Beach boys and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Waddle didn't have the season that many expected him to have, battling injuries. And much like Waddle, Tyreek had the same issue towards the end of the season, which kept him just short of a record-breaking 2,000 yards. But it's a new year, a new opportunity. 2 of the fastest guys in the league with a quick-release quarterback in Tua. I'm expecting another big year from our boys, and they're going to be holding down the best duo of 2024 for the Miami Dolphins. So, yeah, that's my top 5.
Nice top 5. I love your top 5.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get into it then, right?
Yeah.
At number 5, I have Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins. Hey, man, look, we know exactly what Stephon Diggs brings to the table, man. He's been here for years in the AFC East. We know he's a menace. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do over there with the Texans. And as far as Nico Collins goes, man, he completely surprised me last year. I didn't expect any of that from him. So if he can replicate that, this is definitely a top duo in the league. And you have to keep them there at number 5. And then coming in at number 4, I have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, you know, in his age 31 season was still one of the better receivers in the league. And if you think he's slowing down, I just don't see it coming anytime soon. So it's crazy to pair him up with DJ Moore and the Bears. I'm excited to see what Caleb Williams can do. I think the sky's the limit for that duo as well, because DJ Moore had a career year across the board, and I don't see him slowing down as well. Coming in at number 3, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp is coming off back-to-back years riddled by injuries, missing 5 last year and 8 in 2022. If he can stay healthy, I look for him to go back to his 2021 production where he nearly captured an MVP and, you know, he led the league in receiving yards and catches. So I could see that happening very easily if he can stay healthy. And as far as Puka Nacua goes, 5th-round pick, badass rookie season. Breaking both receiving yards records and catches. If you think it's a fluke, man, you got to be crazy, man. He's just gonna do it again. Honestly, you saw him getting open all over the field. I'm expecting that again. Coming in at number 2, I have Arthur Juan Brown and Devonta Smith. Hey, man, AJ Brown is a freak, having his 2 best seasons in Philly. His first 2 seasons even playing there, so I expect for him to continue to do that. I don't see him slowing down as well. Big frame, just fast, hell of a guy, extreme athlete. And then you have Devonta Smith next to him. Devonta Smith, super slim, but hey, he's another fast guy in the making of like Waddle and, you know, Tyreek. I just see him getting better and better, posting back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. It's just going to continue to grow. The sky's the limit, and I have to lock him in there at number 2. And then coming in at number 1, I mean, we can all guess who I'm going to say here, but Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek had another excellent season in Miami. I think it didn't surprise anyone at all. He's just going to continue to grow. Very similar to A.J. Brown, just having his best seasons in Miami with his new quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. Man, I'm just super pumped to see if he can actually go after that 2,000 record. You never know. And then as far as Jalen Waddle goes, had a bit of a down season, but, you know, he was riddled by injuries. I think he's going to pull it together, maybe have a career year this year if he can stay on the field. And yeah, that kind of rounds out my list. That's my top 5, and yeah, don't see anyone better than Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at this point. Not saying that someone can dethrone them. But going over my list and yours, who are some guys that you considered were like basically on the outside looking in, about to make it on your list?
Yeah, so we had similar lists here. I think there's really 3 duos that stick out. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in the Bengals.
Yes.
You have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison with the Vikings.
Yes.
And then you also have Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins making for that new duo in the Titans.
How about there's one more, right? Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
Oh, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So I think that's an easy one. I don't really see Ayuk staying with the Niners very long. He seems like flirting around with his ex-QB. So I think he's going to be headed to Washington, actually.
That'll actually form a pretty cool duo
Yeah.
with Scary Terry, huh?
Yeah. So that's the reason why I mainly have them out. Also, there's so much talent that these guys are interchangeable, really.
Yeah.
But now going on to the Bengals, same situation there. You got you want to touch on that?
Well, as far as the list being interchangeable, I think the whole list is interchangeable,
Right.
except for number 1. And
Well,
it sounds like we're being biased, right? No, and I'm saying I know you meant more so on the back end, like number 5 and all that.
Oh no, I mean the entire list.
Oh, the entire list?
Well, except for me, it's non-negotiable. There's a duo in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle has to be on your top 5,
Yeah.
and it has to be top 2,
No matter what.
no matter what. Then you also have.
So do you think there's an argument for someone to be better than that duo? And I'm asking you. Obviously,
An
I'm a Dolphins
argument?
fan. I'm a Dolphins fan, so yeah, you can say I'm a bit of a homer too. But
Definitely.
I just you already know that. But I don't see anyone on that level, man. I don't.
Well, I agree with you. Obviously, we have the same, number 1, but an argument could be made with possibly the Eagles duo.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what your preference is as far as receivers. You could definitely see someone saying, I kind of want this guy to complement this guy, where right now it's speed complementing speed. You just have Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, just guns blazing. These guys are just, road runners, right?
Yeah.
A.J. Brown, also a freak himself, but he also gives you some of that size.
Big freak.
So he's huge. And then you pair
Size
him.
and speed.
Yeah, size and speed. These guys they're smaller, they're shiftier, So you have more of like the same kind of player complementing each other.
Yeah.
But you could see the case for someone making the case that maybe they want a bigger guy to complement this speedy guy.
Yeah.
So you have the Eagles, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown. You also have the same kind of situation with the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Bengals are also having they're having an issue with T. Higgins.
Yeah. We don't know if he's even going to be on that
So
team.
while Jamar Chase is this premier talent and he's going to obviously stick with the Bengals, it doesn't look like T. Higgins is going to be there very long.
Yeah, he's disgruntled. Obviously, he regards himself as one of the best wide receivers in the league. I don't think the Bengals see him as that. If not, they would have paid him by now.
Right.
They are one of the cheaper franchises in the NFL. They're known for this, right? They don't want to pay their guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, undeniable, you had to pay Burrow. And I do expect Jamar Chase to get his deal done. But T. Higgins, I understand why they would be reluctant to pay him with the top receivers in the NFL.
Right.
Great talent. I really do think so. But he's not. He's not in the... He will never be considered a top 5. Jalen Waddle can get there for sure if he's not already. Tyreek Hill, obviously, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp was there not too long ago. So you see all these guys on the list.
Now, another huge name that we've left off the list is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Which to many is the best. And you could go either way with this. Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, who's the best receiver in the NFL?
That's
You could lean
preference
either
as
way.
well.
That's preference.
Yeah, as far as a pure receiver, I do think Justin Jefferson is a better pure receiver.
And then you have the freak of nature, Tyreek
he's a freak
Hill.
of nature. Exactly, that's what it is. He's just
That's what it is.
a weapon, like no other. The best weapon in the NFL.
Yeah.
Him and I would say McCaffrey are the best weapons.
Yeah, Tyreek
right?
Hill's just an explosion of speed, can score at any
man.
moment. You just got to get the ball in his hands.
With the ball in his hands, he's like no other.
Yeah,
no
and
one's
the
like
Dolphins
him.
have a few players like that, by the way. With
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle being one of them, Devon Achane. It looks like Raheem Mostert really turned it up a notch
maybe
last
Jalen
year.
Wright?
Jalen Wright's another guy the Dolphins just picked up. We picked up also another playmaker in Odell Beckham Jr.
Jonnu
Not on the
Smith.
level of these other guys, obviously, but yeah, definitely a lot of playmaking on the Dolphins to be excited about this season.
Yeah, man. No, it's gonna be a hell of a year, but yeah, that list it was a little hard, but that it comes down to preference, like what we like at this point. So
Yeah, and what we believe, I guess, going forward. 'cause
Yeah.
it's not about what happened last year, but the trends going forward. So that's a good list. That's a good list.
I you're cool with your list?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna change it. I do feel bad leaving the Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua, but I kind of want to see. I don't think Pooker
Pooker.
Pooker
Pooker
Puck. I like it, but yeah, I don't see Puka Nakua having an issue replicating that season.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it happen with Cooper Cup, for an entire season and see what they can do together.
You want to see if he can
completely.
stay healthy too.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I kind of left him off my list. The Bengals, we know why. The Vikings, it's not because of Justin Jefferson. It's more Jordan Addison.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a good number 2, but I don't think he's in the class of a lot of the number 2s here. So,
Yeah, I understand that. And going back to Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua, I understand why you would be reluctant, especially because of Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Basically, I went over that. His last 2 seasons just injured, you know what I'm saying? But to have that 2021 season, he had like over 1,900 yards, I think 140 something receptions.
Yeah.
That's receptions alone. Did you hear that number? 140 something.
It's insane. It's
Dude,
insane.
I don't know how he did it. He should have been MVP because that just doesn't happen. Like you see the type of year that Tyreek Hill had last year, and you're like, dude, what a freak! Like
Yeah.
crazy. But that type of production, dude, I don't understand. But if he can stay on the field, I don't think there's a question of him getting those numbers again.
Right.
Well, I don't think he get those same specific numbers again, but I think he can be as productive as anyone else. So
Yeah.
had to put him in there. I had to.
We look at the wide receiver duo in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Just short of 200 receptions, 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns together, and only played 13 games together. So big time numbers from these guys. I wouldn't expect anything else. But what do you guys think? Are they the best duo in the NFL right now? Let me know down in the comments.
But you see that only 13 games played together, it kind of makes you wonder what would we have done if they played every single game together. And they both played through injuries last year, so our year could have been a hell of a lot better.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, these guys are special talents.
Tremendous.
And Tua, with the quick release, is, he's not really getting the recognition I think he deserves. I think right now it's looked at as a negative for Tua that he has such amazing talent, but you still got to get these guys the ball.
Yeah, and one of the knocks is that, Tua's throwing to these guys, so it doesn't make Tua one of the top quarterbacks. But if they're getting open and he's getting them the ball, what else can he do? Do you want him to not throw it to prove a point? Like, is he not going to throw it at these guys?
Right,
At the end of the day, those are your number 1 and 2 options. They're going to get the ball quick because Tyreek Hill's getting open that quick. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. And the whole thing about him being a one-read quarterback, if he's a one-read quarterback because he gets the ball to Tyreek Hill because he's wide open, so be it. You have to do that. You're not going to not throw in the ball. So it is what it is.
Right. So with our receiving duo, we also received another receiver, another big-time name in Odell Beckham Jr., making our receiver room look pretty crowded now.
It does all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, so who do you have? How many receivers do you have the Dolphins keeping, and who's going to make the roster?
So this one was tough for me because ideally I would want 7, but I kept 6. And you know, the first 3 will be obvious for Fins Nation. It's gonna be at number 1. I have Tyreek Hill. We went over how great he is. Obviously, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, if not the best. I think he's the best. Number 2, I have Waddle, the best second receiver in my opinion in the whole NFL, providing us with the best duo in the NFL. Like I said, down year, but I really do expect for him to pick it up. At number 3, OBJ, and he brings a different dynamic. So last year we were really desperate for that third receiver. We were probably expecting Braxton Berrios to pick it up, do something with that, but obviously disappointing, couldn't really get it together. I think with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle demanding double teams, he's just going to eat, man, on third downs, anything. And, you know, he has the sure hands, maybe in the red zone. We're going to have a better target because that fade to Tyreek Hill just was not working. It doesn't work.
Right.
You know, and it's just we got to do something else. We're going to switch it up with him. At number 4 is where it gets interesting because I'm keeping Ezukama. A lot of people are saying that maybe we should get rid of him, chalk it up as a failed project. I don't think he is, man. He just provides a different look in this room. He's 6'2". The closest thing to that is Odell, which is 5'11". So, you know, a guy that can also be a possible red zone threat. Saw him come alive last year in week 1 against the Chargers when he was running the ball in a Deebo Samuel type role.
Right.
It really made things interesting, and you could see where this offense can be if he's still on this team rostered and healthy. So 3rd year in the system, still was learning it. So those previous years, like his rookie year, I know he had problems picking up the offense. That shouldn't be much of an issue now after 3 years with the same wide receiver coach in Wes Welker and, you know, getting that grasp. I think he's going to just hit the ground running. I have a little fun fact for you, actually. So the fact that he was running the ball last year, it's not basically, oh, let's see if he can do this. It's something that he did in Pee Wee as a running back. So I had experience as a little kid. And then also his freshman year in high school. So kind of cool that he was able to do that. At number 5, I have Malik Washington. And this guy, honestly, there's a few guys on this roster right now as rookies that I feel like were the steal of the draft, that you can say that. So we have a really good chance of having one of those guys be the steal of the draft. And I think Malik Washington is one of them. Basically a Steve Smith Jr. kind of player, very strong, great yak ability, sure hands as well. He was actually number 4 in receiving yards last year in all of college and number 1 in receptions. So you're seeing the level of talent that we got in this guy. He had, I believe it was like 1,400 yards receiving last year. So awesome, and over 100 receptions. Yeah, man, I just see him, despite him having such a, you know, it's going to be a little bit of a climb for him to actually get the ball in his hands, just because we have all these guys that are talented, including a talented tight end that we just signed, Jonnu Smith. But I do see him as a part of this offense. I think he's going to actually do some things. So really, really happy to have him rostered. And at number 6, Taj Washington. I think, you know, I don't think it was a fluke that we drafted 2 young guys at wide receiver. I think they want to keep them on the team and see what they have. So with him at number 6 and only having 6 receivers, obviously I'm leaving out Braxton Berrios. I think what we're losing in Braxton Berrios, we can have with Taj Washington. And he's a guy that can run up the middle. He's a good slot receiver that can take hits, has sure hands as well. But he's also electric in the punt return and kick return game. So I think it's someone that can definitely... It's an easier pill to swallow not having Braxton Berrios on the team if you can have a guy that can do these same kind of things. So really excited to have him. And yeah, I think this list provides us with youth, but also that veteran leadership that can make this youth into valuable assets for years to come. So there's no way I want to leave either of the Washington brothers off my list. So that's my list. Who do you have?
So I have a very similar list, but I actually have the Dolphins keeping 7 receivers.
Yeah, which something that I wanted to do, but
Yeah.
I kept Braxton off.
So I have the Dolphins going with 7 receivers. Obviously, we have the 2 untouchables in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to have any problem making the roster. You have Odell Beckham Jr., number 3. A guy I'm really excited to have on the team. He signed in Miami for a 1-year, $3 million deal. And his cap hit is only $2.1 million for 2024. So, huge bargain there.
Yeah.
Great value. He has now what is the best hands on the team. One of the best hands in the entire NFL, actually. So, also another guy that's safe to assume to make the roster.
Let me ask you, the 1-year, $3 million deal, with incentives, it's up to 8, right? If he meets those incentives?
I think so. Yeah, but those incentives that the cap hit goes on to next year.
Yeah. So cool.
So-
and you want him to meet the incentives because that means we just have
Obviously.
a
Yeah, that means he's kicking
badass
ass.
wide receiver room and he's kicking ass. Yeah.
So, just like you said, it starts to get interesting at number 4. So, I also have Eric Ezukanma being the number 4 receiver for the Dolphins. He's a guy that no one in that room has size.
Yeah.
He is 6'2". He's a bigger guy. He's tough. He's physical. He can run the ball, like you said, much in that Deebo Samuel role, which we got a preview of what could be last year in the beginning of the season.
Also
That was
in the preseason.
Also the preseason.
Yeah.
It was fun to see. Athletic guy. I would love to see him, get featured this year. I'm hoping that he can stay healthy because I think there's a lot that he could do for us. And I know Mike McDaniel must be salivating at the potential right now
Yeah.
in Eric Ezukanma. So really good stuff there with him. And apparently he was making some plays in OTAs. So
Yeah, that's I was gonna add to that, but I obviously want to give you your bit.
Yeah,
but
so-
yeah, he looked impressive out there. So
at number 5, I actually have Braxton Berrios. And the reason why I'm keeping him, the Dolphins just signed him to a 1-year, $2.1 million deal, gave him an extension. And things are going to look different for kick returns. Punts are going to stay the same, but we still need those sure hands. We need someone that knows what they're doing, that isn't fazed by the NFL. I know we can do this with some rookies, but this is something that I'm sure the Dolphins will value.
yeah,
Braxton Berrios spoke a little bit about the new rules and how excited he is to return. So let's check out that video.
What do you make of the new kickoff rule? Are you going to try to be a part of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I think it'll be interesting, especially the first few weeks to see everybody come out with their tricks. I think preseason they're gonna pop it up and let people cover and see what they have, and then I think week 1, week 2, there's gonna be some variability there, which should be exciting. But I'm excited about it.
It's more of a shifty maneuver than like building up speed and catching at the goal line, I guess. What's the different mentality?
It depends on the kick, honestly, and it depends on what they try to do. I think now more than ever, it's about hitting the hole when you see it and splitting it, because the way they condensed it, some of the guys on the very opposite side of the field, they can't, they're non-factors if you hit it. But if you dance, then you give everybody a chance. So I think now more than ever, it's about getting vertical.
that was cool what he said, right?
Yeah, pretty
If you
cool.
dance, you give everybody a chance.
You dance, you give everybody a chance. I like that one. But yeah, it's true. I mean,
Kind of makes me want to put him back on the roster.
yeah, I think he's really looking forward to that rule change. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if he's the right guy for it though. To be honest, we have so
Yeah.
much speed on this team, and it's not like he's a slow guy. It's just that
No, but
in
you want to take
comparison-
advantage of the speed that we have, man.
In comparison, I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking about guys that are running 4.2s and 4.3s. I think Braxton Berrios,
He ran a 4.4?
Berrios was a 4.44.
Okay.
So
I mean, he's still got the speed, but
still fast. But I mean, these guys are 4.2s and 4.3s.
bro, we got guys that can break the sound barrier on our team, bro.
Yeah.
You wanna have them hitting
Yeah,
those
getting
holes that he's
speeding
talking
tickets in
about.
the school zone. These guys are fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be exciting to see, though, with the new kick return rules. But he's going into his 2nd season with Mike McDaniel, so brings more of that veteran presence. If Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle go down, you have veteran presence in Odell Beckham Jr., but he's never been in this offense.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you have someone else aside from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, even though Eric Ezukanma has also some some history now with us.
Yeah,
Be-
but he's
being
barely.
that it's
he's
his
barely
third
been
year.
Yeah, but he's barely been on the field.
But he hasn't been on the field.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
having
I
Braxton
understand that.
Berrios on the team, I think will help in case of emergency.
Yeah,
I don't expect him, with all the talent that we have at receiver right now, I don't really expect him to see, I don't expect to see a lot of snaps from him, but it's a guy that you want to have rostered for sure. And especially for special teams. This is a guy that just makes you feel safer.
solid,
Safer
solid
on-
guy.
Safer on special teams. Then you have Malik Washington, who the Dolphins just drafted in the 6th round out of Virginia. He's more of a slot receiver, but he has a running back type build.
Yeah,
So another tough, physical kind of guy that
low
can
center of gravity that can
play in the
break
slot.
tackles.
He can play in the slot. I can see him getting some slants in with Tua, making some plays, yards after the catch kind of deal. I'm really excited to see what he can do. And then at 7, I got Taj Washington, another slot guy, very tough dude, bit of a dog. Played with Caleb Williams, and
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
mention that. Yeah, you're right. He
Yeah.
did.
he played with Caleb Williams, and he's a slot receiver, but he also can help on special teams. He does a little bit of
Yeah.
he can return a little bit, so maybe that's kind of like a transition from Braxton Berrios in the future. You know, I'm keeping him on the roster because I'm scared to put him on the practice squad and then, lose him.
Yeah.
So I
Let
think
me
it's a
ask
great
you,
room.
similar list, same pretty much, except I left off Braxton Berrios, which I'm not mad if he makes the team. I actually think the odds are that he will make the team. This is just my list as far as what I would want.
Right.
So my reasoning for leaving Braxton Berrios off was because I feel like we can have River Craycraft on the practice squad, right? Because we snuck him in on the practice squad the last 2 years, I think. At least 1 year for sure. And I think the same can happen this year if we leave him off the roster, just because I don't think anyone's picking him up. He's a little bit older too. He hasn't really done anything in the NFL except for be a solid guy for us. You know what I'm saying? So no one's going to pick him up. Do you think, like I said, do you think Malik Washington can have a role in this offense this year early on, or do you think that maybe it's going to happen later on towards the season or not happen at all?
I think Malik Washington is going to get his chance through some type of injury. I think,
Knock on wood.
hopefully it doesn't happen.
Hopefully it doesn't.
But that's where I see Malik really stepping in. I don't expect him to have a huge role in the offense this season. I also don't expect that from Taj Washington. And I actually think with Taj Washington, I know that he has some special teams ability, that he can return some balls, but and that's where I think Braxton Berrios comes in. I think he's going to be that transition piece from Braxton Berrios. I just think that, they need to overlap a little bit just so I don't see Braxton Berrios signing with the Dolphins next season, but Taj could be that next Braxton Berrios returner for the Dolphins.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he can be a really solid player. He was extremely solid in college too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very consistent throughout his years. I think he had 3 years in USC and another year on, I think it was Memphis, the Memphis Tigers or something like that. I might be wrong about that one, but all his years in USC, he was very consistent, kind of hung around the same numbers, about 700 yards to 1,000, which his best year was last year. I think you're getting maybe like a Devon Best kind of guy that's very solid, never going to be a superstar in him. Like you're not going to get that type of production out of him later on, but if it's a guy like Devon Best, man, you're more than happy to have him on your roster. So I love it. I love keeping him there, and if we decide to cut him, I would be very disappointed. So
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that happen.
no, not at all.
So I would keep him on the roster just for that. But this room is super deep, super talented.
Super.
Tua's got a lot of weapons here. So I'm excited to see this room really go out and perform for us.
Yeah, and if you look at it compared to last year, I feel like we were just so thin out of nowhere.
We
right?
were. We were rolling with guys like Chosen and
Yeah.
who else did we have out there? We had Craycraft,
Cedric Wilson.
which actually stepped it up last season.
Azukama injured. Tyreek Hill was getting injured. Jalen Waddle. It was a bunch of injuries. We had Braxton Berrios in there. River Craycraft got injured as well, but he was in there. Cedric Wilson was dealing with some injuries too. So just everyone was hurt last year.
Yeah, except for Braxton, which
Except for
again leads me
Braxton
to my
Berrios.
point. Another point.
Solid,
Braxton
durable
is
guy.
solid, durable. Like, this is a guy that knows the offense now. Another year in the offense.
He can take some hits too. You see him.
He's a tough dude.
Yeah, he is
He's a
tough.
tough dude.
You know, I would not be disappointed if we keep him. If we have 7 receivers, I'd be happy too.
Yeah,
I'm just.
which is it's just such a high number.
It is.
It
is because then you look at the running back room
I just
and you're
don't
like,
want to
how
let
many
go
are
of
we
any of
gonna?
these guys.
I get it.
And then yeah, you're right. The running back room is pretty deep now.
Tight end room.
The tight end room is looking deep. We also have Alec Ingold, and he's not going anywhere.
Nah, he's not.
So
He's not.
it's just the offense is very talented right now. I wish I could say the same for the offensive line, but most of the offense.
Well, let's see.
Even
I
then,
mean,
the offensive line has gotten, I would
let's
say,
see.
better.
We saw Austin Jackson take a leap last year. I really don't like Liam Eichenberg, but kind of played a little bit better last year. Maybe he can make a similar type of leap to Austin Jackson, and at least he's serviceable now, right?
And we saw him get the orange jersey in OTA, so maybe there's some hope there.
I don't know that orange jersey thing. I'm not buying into
Yeah, we
the
also
hype
saw
too much.
Duke Riley get an orange jersey, so
Yeah,
maybe not.
Please don't make the team. Please. I really don't like Duke Riley either.
He looks
But-
like a cool dude, though. I'm just
But if Liam Eichenberg can take a little bit of a leap, you know, obviously we have Teron Armstead, I think, is the biggest factor. If he can stay healthy, this line can gel. I feel like just having his veteran leadership out there, steering guys in the right direction, I feel like he might even be coaching them in the huddle
I mean,
as well.
you got Teron. If he can stay healthy, that's huge.
Isaiah Wynn.
Isaiah Wynn looked amazing. We got this center, Aaron Brewer.
Aaron Brewer,
Aaron
yeah.
Brewer, who apparently is great.
Crazy. He's smaller in stature, but dude, he's athletic.
He's
he can
athletic.
run out there in the run game. That's where he's gonna.
That's where we're going to see him shine.
Yeah.
Which I believe the Dolphins are going to make a focus this year,
Mm-hmm.
getting that run going. And how could you not? With Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, you just bring in Jalen
Jalen
Wright.
Wright.
Then you also got Chris Brooks, who's also a really good, I mean, not really good, but
Yeah, he's not-
he showed some promise.
He's not making the team, man.
I don't think he's going to make the team. However, he does seem like the only player that can do what he can do in that running back room, being that physical, short yardage kind of guy.
Yeah.
And in case of an Alec Ingold, knock on wood, kind of situation, he can step in that role too. So maybe he sneaks onto the roster somehow. I just don't know who would be the one to.
Well-
I do. I have an idea. I just don't want to say it.
Jeff Wilson is gonna be
Yeah.
rostered. I don't.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't see them cutting him just because his money's guaranteed.
Okay.
And they did that early on in the offseason. I think was it an extension and guaranteed money? What was it? I mean, they did. They adjusted his contract so it's more guaranteed money, right?
Okay.
So why would you do that if you're not planning on rostering
Right.
this guy?
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
And he's a Mike McDaniel guy, man. He came
Yeah.
from the 49ers. We invested draft capital in him by trading for him, right? I think it was a 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, don't quote me there, but I think it is. I feel like he's gonna make the team. I think the 4 are gonna be Raheem. I mean, that could be for another show, but I do think it's gonna be Raheem, Achane, Jalen Wright, it's a lock already, and then Jeff Wilson. And then Chris Brooks is gonna be on the outside looking in. Maybe we sneak him in on the practice squad. But as soon as he stepped on the field, he got hurt. So,
Yeah.
I mean, wow, I don't think they're going to keep him.
Well, speaking of the running back situation, there's some news with Devon Achane maybe taking some reps at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. It was David Furones that wrote that article for the Sun Sentinel, and he's been working on his routes, and also I think he's trying to get stronger and a little heavier just because he's dealing with a lot of nagging injuries from last year. But yeah, I think it's interesting just because you think about Tyreek Hill, right? And coming into the league, he was a running back in college. He did play some wide receiver in college as well. And he was basically drafted as a kick return, punt return specialist, and blossomed into one of the best wide receivers in the NFL with his speed, right?
Right.
So Devon Achan's of the same stature, has history as a running back, is just as fast as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's a different level of quickness, but you see Achan in the open field, man. He's almost impossible.
Doesn't even look like he's running. He's just
you
gliding.
Can't, but you can't grab him. You know, he's
It's
just
crazy.
He's crazy. And he does that thing that he's falling, but he puts his arm on the ground and he just like shifts really quick.
And who better than to take advice from Tyreek Hill, who made that transition? And we have a quote here from Devon. I got some of the best receivers in the room here. During OTAs, I was going out there running routes with them when they weren't here. I did that with them. Basically, why not? Our receiver room is one of the greatest, and if I want to do the stuff they want me to do, might as well take tips and learn from them.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's taking advice from these guys. He's possibly, I wouldn't say it's a full-time switch, but it's an interesting idea. This is a guy that you want the ball in his hands as much as possible because he has the potential to score at any time. And we've seen guys like Percy Harvin, Cordarrelle Patterson become more of an offensive weapon type player. I think that's something that we could now see with Devon Achan. So
It's a really good comparison.
yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see what we could do with him and how we can transition him into being more of this offensive weapon.
Yeah, forget about him being one of the top running backs, which he was showing last year that he can be. If we can turn him more so into a weapon, I think that would be like you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck. And, you know, eventually Tyreek Hill will not be a Miami Dolphin. So if he can blossom into this massive weapon, now you have Jalen Waddle and Devon Achan for years to come. And now Jalen Wright, maybe he can be one of the better running backs of the league. You know, he's definitely talented.
Another speedy guy.
Dude, now
Some
you
more
got this
speed to the
locked up
offense.
for multiple years
Yeah.
that the Dolphins can have still one of the better offenses or the best offense.
One of the fastest offenses.
One of the
still.
fastest for years to come. And exactly what we were saying, if we have Tyreek Hill showing him the way, now we have OBJ, that's another mentor. Jalen Waddle, which we already know he's one of the top receivers in the league. I don't see why he can't become forget about serviceable. We don't want that. We want him to be one of the better wide receivers if he's out there. And you saw him last year when he would run some routes, he would create separation easily just based off of his speed alone. So if he can get some of that footwork in and learn some of the wide receiver, moves that he needs to, bro, the sky's the limit for this guy. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. Super excited to see what they can do. This offense is looking stacked. Like
Jonnu Smith at tight end now too, man.
I wish we could throw like 3 balls at the same time because one doesn't seem like it's enough for this offense.
Bro, it's just like who the hell is gonna? I mean, we know who's gonna get the ball most of the time, but who's gonna get the ball? Like, and on any given down, like we have guys that can take it to the house. Jonnu Smith as a tight end, he can.
That's someone we haven't even talked about yet.
Bro,
Like,
he's got that breakaway speed for.
And
a
I
tight
really
end.
like Jody Fortson too. Like that looks.
Yeah, man, that's one of my guys that I really want to make this roster.
Another guy that was showing out in OTAs too. So
Yeah. Even though it's the Underwear Olympics, like they say, man, you saw those highlights of him jumping up and getting that ball in the air. And, bro, even his swag on the field, what he wears, like the visor and all that, which...
hey, I like the swag, man.
It's cool, man. It's
The
cool.
swag
It
gets me.
adds... Of course it does. Bro, OBJ is one of the swaggiest guys. Jalen Ramsey, swaggy. Tyreek Hill's got some cool swag. So if you add another guy in there, why not, bro? It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's basically it for those things. But if we can get maybe into the whole quarterback situation with Tua, man.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing of him not getting a deal done yet and all that. Do you think we can possibly get this done before training camp or?
So I think that's the word right now. I think the word is they're going to try to get the deal done before training camp, and I'm sure they want to.
Yeah.
We just saw Trevor Lawrence get a $55 million deal.
Ridiculous.
Annually. That annual deal for a player of his caliber. I know he did a lot of great things in college,
Yeah.
but in the NFL, he really hasn't done that yet. So he might be getting paid from his days in Clemson, really.
That's what I see more so.
Yeah.
They're paying him based off his potential more than his productivity. And obviously you want to keep guys like that around. If you invested a high draft pick, it's a first pick in the draft in him. You see certain traits that are like, okay, this is a level of eliteness. Like he can be an elite quarterback, but that's what you're paying for. You're not paying because he is one yet, right?
Right. Tua's playing like the elite quarterback,
But doesn't have the traits.
Doesn't
that
necessarily have the traits.
Exactly.
He's
But-
not 6'6", doesn't have a strong arm, isn't the most athletic, doesn't have pretty blonde hair.
Yeah.
So Tua's missing a lot there.
But as far as what Tua has, I mean, he has everything you would want in a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So a lot like a Drew Brees type. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but a lot like a Tom Brady type. And people really underestimate his arms. And
The GOAT?
the goat, the goat.
Yeah.
But bro, what I'm saying is, they talk so much crap about his arm, but bro, do you really need to throw the ball 70 yards? He can throw almost close to 60. I'm pretty sure because I've seen it firsthand. And I don't think arm strength is based off of how far you can throw it. I think it's throwing it from hash to hash, right?
Well, yeah. You also need some of that velocity to throw it into like tight windows.
But if you have anticipation, you don't need that velocity.
That's really where I think it comes in. You have
So
a guy
that's
like
Tua's superpower. That is
his anticipation.
elite strength, right?
Yeah.
And people say anticipation doesn't mean shit. Dude, you have to have anticipation.
Yeah, Josh Allen doesn't have the anticipation. Therefore, he needs the rocket arm. He needs the cannon,
Exactly.
the laser, because he notices things a little later than Tua would.
Exactly.
So Tua's getting that ball out first. They'll arrive at the same time, hopefully. But
He's
yeah,
processing things at an elite level.
Josh Allen is, in my opinion, still the second best quarterback in the NFL.
I hate
his
to say
traits
it.
are-
I hate to say it, but it is true. I can't stand that guy either.
Yeah.
You're going to hear me say that a lot because I can't stand most of these guys. But yeah, Josh Allen, I mean, basically, I didn't think he was anything special.
Mm-hmm.
But people fail to forget his first two seasons, he didn't do anything until he got Stephon Diggs, right? So now that Tua has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, now we have OBJ, Jonnu Smith, everyone, that is the first thing they go to.
Right.
Oh, he has all this talent. Anyone can do it with that level of talent. They simplified the offense for him. No, they molded this offense into what he can do best.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if we want to say that anyone can do it, why isn't anyone doing it for Miami? Why aren't we going out there and getting a better quarterback?
Well-
why is it that when Skylar Thompson
Exactly.
and
We've
Teddy
seen-
Bridgewater came in, they couldn't match the level of productivity that Tua has.
Right.
Like at all. Like
all.
it wasn't even close. So what is it? What's the case? Is it that he's actually being spoon-fed these numbers, or is it that
I think
he's this type of quarterback?
I think Tua is this type of quarterback. I do also think that this system, and I'm not saying he's a system quarterback, but I do think that it's a match made in heaven. Tua, Mike McDaniel, the receivers,
Yeah.
everything is just clicking. It's a perfect storm for Tua, for the offense, for Mike McDaniel. Everything is just a perfect marriage. So I think that Tua is definitely a top 10 quarterback. I would put him at top 10 without even really having to think about it.
I agree.
I also think that he should be paid. I think it's his turn. It's Tua's turn. The market is the market. If Trevor Lawrence is getting $55 million, Tua's getting more than $55 million.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. You keep waiting, but this number is just going to keep increasing.
Yeah, and
God forbid Dak Prescott gets a deal done. That's going to be north of 60, right?
I don't know.
I think I would. That's what he's coming for. That's what he wants.
I don't know, but
So
I think Tua's going to be close to that too.
yeah, man, and you wanna get ahead of the curve, man, because it's like if you wait any longer, this year Tua's he's gonna blow up again, man.
The Dolphins should have done this deal when Justin Herbert and when Joe Burrow got their deals done.
Like right after.
Yeah,
That was last year before the season, though.
yeah. The Dolphins should have got it done. Should have tried to get a deal done there. Tua was coming off.
for cheaper,
Right.
because that could have happened.
The Dolphins could have done this.
Yeah, I agree. That would have
The
been
Dolphins could have done this.
fantastic.
The Dolphins probably could have signed Tua to
A $40 million a year, maybe.
maybe they
45?
It's possible. The Dolphins could have been in the 40 to 45 range just because of the injury history and all of this. But now
They could
you
have
a
done that
full,
in good faith.
But now, yeah, in good faith, the Dolphins now have a full. Tua has a full season, healthy, led the league in yards. I think was number 2 in QBR.
Took us to the playoffs.
Took us to the playoffs.
Despite losing, it doesn't matter.
Despite losing, he needs to win some big games. But Tua did have a lot of really good moments last year. Did a lot of really good things with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Now we're at a point where Trevor Lawrence is getting $55 million, and you compare the two, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't really done anything aside from win one playoff game against the Chargers in a wild card match. It's not really...
But that game, he was playing like trash either way.
Yeah.
He had 4 picks in the first half.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like he willed that team to win. He did make the comeback, but there was a reason why they were in that hole. I still don't think he is deserving of that contract, but Tua, if anything, is more than deserving. So I think the deal gets done. I think he gets more than Trevor Lawrence. And I think now it kind of goes back to when Jared Goff got his deal. We're like, okay, yeah, you know what gets it done? $1 million more than Jared Goff, right?
Right.
I think the same thing now. What gets this done is a little bit more than Trevor Lawrence, but just go ahead and do it, man. Either way, the cap is rising. These numbers by the year are just going to keep increasing.
If we go into the season with Tua not having a contract, and Tua leads the league in yards again, top 3 in QBR, boosts up the touchdowns a little bit.
Which I think is more than possible because we were just always on the go. There's a reason why Raheem Mostert had 19 touchdowns rushing, right? So
yeah,
it was 19 rushing touchdowns?
19 or 20. Either way, it was a franchise record. So Tua having another great season without a contract, is he really going to be only at he's going to get to that 60 mark?
Yeah.
Especially with the salary cap increasing year after year. There's no doubt that Tua is going to be at the $60 million mark. So we got to get a deal done now. And like you said, maybe it takes, hey, just $1 million over Trevor.
Yeah.
Get me at 56.
But look, it went up from the last time they got a deal done, one of these teams, which was the Lions, Jared Goff, right? So now Trevor Lawrence, 55. It's just going to keep going up.
I think Jared Goff, the only reason why Jared Goff should have gotten paid more than Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. But the difference there is, I guess you're paying for what they can do in the future. So Jared Goff, a bit older than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, maybe, hopefully for him, his best years are to come. And interesting numbers. We actually saw the numbers for Blake Bortles versus Trevor Lawrence, and I forgot how many starts it was. Oh, there it is. So, yeah, you can see that their numbers are fairly similar. Actually, Blake Bortles has more touchdowns. That's an interesting graphic there.
Yeah.
Not saying that that Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback or anything, but
it provides context to
does.
how
it does.
How, I don't want to say bad, but how lackluster his numbers have been throughout the years. And then you look at Tua compared to him, and Tua, it's just night and day, man. He's leading him in every statistical category, and that's in QBR, touchdowns, receiving,
and this is
passing yards.
$55 million annually for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I expect the Dolphins to offer him. I expect Tua to be going after anything more than that.
Do you think a deal gets done before we get back into training camp?
I think a deal gets done. I think a deal has to get done. They can't let this continue to get out of control.
Yeah, and you know, we keep saying he's our guy. It's like, yes, Tua, but man, you're taking really long to get this done, man, and he's getting pissed by the second. You don't want him coming into the season with that mentality either.
Right.
Because you want him to be able to just chill at practice, man. Like, not chill, but work your ass off too. But I'm saying, like, mentally you got all that shit
Yeah,
behind
you want to be able to focus on the game.
Yeah, man. And you know, we're all human, right? Now you're like, oh, what the hell's going on? I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
Like why don't they want to pay me what I'm owed? Like you're gonna start getting that little fire. It's gonna create this little
Tension.
inside. And man, if there's a guy that deserves it, it's Tua, man. Through all the adversity, everything that he's been through, shitty situation with our first coach that mistreated him. And we get it. Yeah, they're professionals and they got to deal with it because they're getting paid.
But he did.
But he did.
He did.
He dealt with it. He came out.
Went through adversity, led the league in yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's done what he's needed to do to be a franchise quarterback for the Miami Dolphins and lead this team to the playoffs in back-to-back years, something that hasn't been done in, I believe it was 20 years.
It's crazy.
So
Yeah, bro, we're not I'm not used to going to the playoffs.
I'm not
man.
used to it either as a Dolphins fan.
No.
I've never seen a quarterback lead the league in yards since
Hell
I've
no.
been alive.
Not me. I haven't.
So this is new territory for me.
Shit. And it's crazy to be able to say that because I feel like throughout my time as a Dolphin fan, we have never had a quarterback that I have been happy to have.
Right.
Like Tannehill was the closest thing in the beginning because I'm like, bro, look at this. Bro, this guy was a wide receiver. He can run. He's got a hell of an arm. But, dude, as far as quarterbacks go, he's just solid.
And we have players vouching for him, too.
Yeah. Teron
Jalen
Armstead.
Ramsey, Teron Armstead, Tyreek Hill. They're all vouching for him. They want him to get paid. This is
Yeah.
rubbing players the wrong way, too. So the Dolphins need to get a deal done, and they need to get it done soon.
Yeah. And I think it's coming. So that news should be dropping anytime soon, man. I don't think it's not going to.
Right.
It's going to come. Whatever. Plain and simple. So let's get it done, Miami. Let's get it done. We need this guy, man.
Yeah.
We need him. I don't see us having this level of success without Tua. So
Right.
he's as important as Tyreek Hill is, so is Tua.
Right.
So that's it. Get
Right.
it done.
Well, yeah, I'm really expecting a good season for the Dolphins. This is going to wrap up our first episode, Season 1, Episode 1 of the Phinhub. Super excited to be here for you guys, to keep doing this, providing some good shows. If you guys have any comments, please leave them down. And, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Remember to subscribe. And we're
And-
also going to be doing a giveaway, guys.
Yeah.
So a pretty big giveaway it's going to be, I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but it's going to be a nice one.
We also have some merch coming out.
We also have some merch coming out, so
We got
stay
them
tuned for
coming in
that.
today, actually. So
Yeah, we're going to be testing it out today.
we're gonna be
so-
testing it out today, and you guys will be able to see it really soon. But we're really excited to bring it out. I know everyone's gonna love it. I personally love it. So
But yeah, so about the giveaway, make sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube, that you're following us on Instagram and Twitter, and for every comment that you leave on a video, it's one entry into the giveaway. So make sure to drop your comments, and hopefully
as
you're the
many
lucky
comments
winner.
as you guys want.
Yeah.
You can spam it if you want. We'll tally them up. So
All right. So yeah, guys, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.
see you guys.